ripple effect then becomes thousands or even millions when it becomes bigger. So when I talk about a legacy, I'm not talking about me having a conversation with every single one of these people. I can't. I have to recognize that I'm only one human being. What can I do in my lifetime? Well, this is the best way I found so far. Then the confusion came, and now I'm going to come up with an even better way of doing it. I don't know how yet.
This week, we are speaking to the wonderful Vanda Varga, who is an NLP master practitioner and trainer. In today's episode, she talks us all about how her vocation was down to her life's purpose, how she knew that from a very young age, and how all she wants to do in this world is to make an impact. Now, before you get into the episode, have you subscribed to our channel yet? If not, go and do the thing. We would love for you to be part of our amazing crowd of Digital Circus lifers. And of course, if you like what you see, please do leave us a little comment. It's always appreciated. Now, let's get into it. Vanda, thank you very much for being with us today. And with every episode of the Digital Circus Life, we start with one very important question. And that is, what is it that you're trying to achieve right now?
Oh, big question, isn't it? Is it right now? Is it always? I don't know. But yes, I have thought about that actually, having listened to the other episodes.
Well done.
Amazing podcast. Yes.
Tick.
Thank you. I think I want to have an impact. I want to leave an impact. It might be a legacy even that I leave once I'm gone. But it's about having a positive impact on the world. And that happens day to day. You know, I don't have a big number in my head of how many people I want to support or I want to change or have to change their lives or anything like that. But what I feel is that I want to know that every day when I woke up, before I go to bed, I touched at least one person's life in a positive way. So they started thinking differently about their own lives, about their own thought processes, how they perceive the world, and feel that it doesn't matter what has happened until now, things can be different. They can change their minds, literally and figuratively as well. They can undecide things, they can decide new things, they can rewire their brain, and they can become whatever they want to become. And if I do that with just in a tiny little way every single day, then I feel that my life purpose is fulfilled. And that's going to lead to big numbers, obviously.
Yeah,
That's huge.
Well, it is huge, and I've got a standard about 10,000 thoughts off the back of that.
Where does that come from,
Oh, there we
Vanda?
go. Okay, that's a good place to start.
Let's just start with there.
Yeah.
Where does that come from? That need, want to impact?
Desire.
That is a very good question. I can't actually tell you. I always knew from a very early age that I wanted to help somehow. I don't like this word help.
No.
I wanted to enable, empower. I don't know whether it's a feeling inside me, and I can't really put a word to that. Not in Hungarian, not in English. It's just a feeling. It's that I think I might just call it purpose. I just felt that there was something there that was driving me. And in most occasions, I didn't know what I was stepping into, like when I went to university or when I got my first job or my second job. When I left all the employment life and became self-employed, or when I learned about NLP, learned about conductive education, my neuro rehab stuff, I didn't actually know what I was stepping into. I just felt that I needed to go that way. And as soon as I arrived there and I was 20 minutes in, I felt, yep, I'm home. I know what I'm doing. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing, but I know I'm supposed to be here. And then I get to be there for others, inspire them in different ways, have them change their lives one way or another, in a small way or in a big way. And that will change from, I don't know, from situation to situation, from person to person.
It is, I was about to say tricky, but I'm not sure that's the right word either. That help thing is a bizarre word, right? Because it implies a certain style of, a first aider helps me or a paramedic helps me because I need that positive thing to get me back to a place. But we find that in the small business world as well. Like when I'm chatting with clients, it's like, oh, we can help you with that. No, it's the wrong word, isn't it? It's that, it is that kind of, we have a desire and almost a purpose sometimes to kind of work with people. I don't know what word to use here, to work with people to help them achieve what they're trying to achieve. And it's help doesn't sound right.
Support.
I don't think support sounds right.
I think I like the word influence. Positively influence someone's life.
Ooh.
And that can be many different ways, because I don't have to be the one professionally or personally who will have them change their lives. But I might just influence them in a positive way to go and find the right kind of help.
Yes.
And then I already fulfilled my purpose in that kind of relationship.
Yeah.
I don't have to do everything myself. I might not be the right person to do it, but I influence them. I facilitated them getting the help that they need for the change they want to create in their own lives.
Okay.
That's the feeling inside, that little light, it's quite a big fire actually.
It's a bonfire.
It is. I think so. I want to jump to the other end then. So is this a continuous thing? Does it have an end point? Will you wake up one day and go, "Oh, I've achieved this. I've not achieved this." You know, and would it be a challenge to you if you perhaps woke up and went, "I've not achieved enough," or is it literally a day by day? As long as I can help someone every day, influence. As long as I can, even none of them sound right. As long as I can impact someone every day, is that enough? You know.
On a day-to-day basis, that's enough. That's my measurement. It is absolutely an ongoing thing for me, and it started, as I said, at a very, very early age. It started with animals on the street, or even homeless people on the street, when I used to give my lunch sandwich to them, and all these sort of things. And I could never tell why I was doing it. I just felt that need of doing it, or I just gave a smile to somebody, and that person smiled back at me, or didn't give it to me because they thought I was cuckoo because I was smiling. But they went and they gave that smile to somebody else. So that's paying it forward, that ripple effect.
Yeah.
That's always been there. So that's absolutely an ongoing theme in my life. I'm not sure it was always planned.
No.
Or I did it on purpose. It was purposeful, but not on purpose.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. It just happened. And I think now I'm at the stage where I actually can articulate, well, sort of, as you can hear, not very well, but I can sort of articulate what this means to me. And everything that I've done in my 38 years has led up to where I am today. And as Emily, you know quite well, I'm in such a confused state in that whole state of confusion in what is that impact that I want to have on the world, and how I want to change people's ways of thinking. What do I really want to do with everything I have been doing? That's a bit vague here, I know.
Yeah.
No,
sorry, Alan. So you brought it up, not me. So thanks, Vanda.
Yes.
Because we have recently had a conversation about your state of confusion right now. And for anyone who's listening or watching right now, Vanda was one of my amazing teammates who went to Malawi with me last month. If you haven't yet listened to my episode of Digital Circus Life, go and watch that one back, because that tells you all about what we did out there. One thing I want to point out first was that your vocation, the way your brain is wired, and I appreciate you work in rewiring brains as well.
Vanda's a blimmin' tour guide to your mind, Emily. She knows all of this.
You could see that in abundance, that is what your purpose in life is, when we were on the ground in Malawi. And I bring it back to when we were at the school, and we were working with some of the most disadvantaged children in Malawi, in one of the most rural, poorest parts of Africa. And Vanda was there, not just looking at the sort of the bigger picture of this school, but you were looking at the people within it, and you were laser focused at looking at each and every individual there. And I could see you in that real time, looking at how you could help, but how you could make a difference to individuals in that school setting. And we were there for one day. So you talk about this state of confusion now, because obviously that particular trip had a lot of impact, and we discovered a lot of things about ourselves as a team, as individuals, as in terms of educating ourselves, what's happening on the ground in Africa as well. What was the catalyst for your confusion there about what your purpose in life is? Because I can see it again in abundance. What your purpose is, it is to be that positive light for people. So why are you so confused?
I'm not confused that knowing that this is my life purpose.
Yeah.
I do absolutely believe in that. And even within that, I know I am a human being and I have my ups and downs, and I'm not always that positive, smiley, yellow person I would like to be. And that's okay. because that just means I'm not a robot. So that's all good.
We cry together. It's all good.
So that's all good. I think for some reason, again, going back to my intuition, I was always drawn to Africa from a very, very young age. And now, having been there, I mean, I've been to different parts of Africa. I spent quite a bit of time in Nigeria as well, and I've seen all the poverty and how poor people are and how they think, learnt a lot about the way of thinking there. And now I've gone to Malawi, which is very similar in many aspects and very, very different in others. And I absolutely loved how it truly is the warm heart of Africa. And I love people's attitude and mentality and how they think about the whole community, not just about themselves, how they want to learn, how they want to develop themselves as well as everybody else around them, how they want to support and, influence. I don't know what words to use here. And what causes me that confusion, again, is something I can't really pinpoint. It's the whole thing that we were there and I started questioning whether the impact my business is having on the world, is it big enough? Is it the impact I want to have on the world? Is it the only people I want to have impact on or support or influence? Or is there something else out there for me? It made me fall back in love with my old profession, being a neuro rehab specialist, being a conductor. You know that, Emily. Yeah. It really did. It absolutely. I felt alive during that day, even though I was quite apprehensive about that day. I actually haven't felt more alive.
And you could see that. You could see that in your face.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And then I started thinking of how to make it happen. So that state of confusion, when I say confusion, I think about something amazing. Because when you are confused, you are in the best learning state you could ever be. This is when everything is thrown up in the air and things start to fall into their place where they need to be. It means something is changing and some things will fall into the bin and new things will appear. So everything just reorganizes itself. And after confusion comes the breakthrough. I'm not there yet. So that's why I can't really articulate what is going on inside me. What I do know is my world has been modeled up in a way that I'm stronger in my purpose than I've ever been. It's the how that I'm not quite sure of.
Well, listening to you, Vanda, it's not just the how, because I got the how clear, but I think there was an element, I think, within what you were just saying on, will I have impacted enough? I felt there was a how and a volume. I don't know what word to use. This is the podcast of not sure what word to use, I think.
Love it.
Yeah. And I think I got from you that, I'm doing my job here in the UK with my business, jobs are not fair enough. And that's brilliant. But there's a wider world that I could potentially impact. And so how do I fulfill my purpose, or where, or who with? But also, and this comes back to my question about you benchmarking what you're trying to achieve. Am I going to have impacted enough? If I feel I can impact everyone, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with thinking like that. If I feel I can have a positive impact on quite a lot of people, that's a bit of a safer place to sit, isn't it, than everyone? How do I ensure I impact as many as I can actually impact?
Yeah, and you see, this is it. This is when I absolutely 100% believe in education and training. Yeah. And this is why I became an NLP trainer as well, so I can spread that way of thinking, spread the magic, spread the idea of your brain having amazing potential, and all we need to do is step into it, and then we will be able to make it work for ourselves. It's that attitude of curiosity towards learning and lifelong learning. I absolutely 100% believe in that, and I think this is what really resonated with me when we went to Malawi, is that it was all about trading and not aiding people. It's teaching them, it's giving them skills, it's teaching them how they can make an impact in their own lives and in their communities' lives. And that was the same with the women in business that we were supporting with those skills sharing workshops, as well as the school. And what I absolutely loved is when we asked the question there, when we had a meeting with the teachers and the head teacher and the 10 of us, we asked the question that, you know, we've noticed the special needs kids, the 2 of them in your school, which is absolutely amazing that you already have them, because these kids, I mean, people with no issues don't get to go to school there, let alone people with special needs. I absolutely applaud that they are in that school. And then we said that, you know, we noticed that you have those children. How are you dealing with them? How are you coping with the situation? And they gave us some quite good answers. But then I asked the question, so I understand that there is a lot on your plate, absolutely. And if you say no to this question, I will not judge you because you have so much you're dealing with. But is this something that you would like to have some help with? Because I'm a special need teacher, I'm a neuro rehab specialist by trade, so I'm very happy to give that support. And I don't know if you remember, Emily, but how their eyes lit up. That was for me that, wow, this is the attitude that we want. And this is what I seek in my clients, in my students, in my participants, is that hunger of knowledge, of learning, of developing, of improving, of making something greater and better. And that's that attitude, again, attitude of curiosity towards learning altogether and wanting to do better. That was the most amazing thing. And when you look at our children, look at adults here, if you tell them that, there is this training, let's say you are employed and your manager comes and says that there is this training, would you like to take it? Oh, not a bloody training, please. I don't want to learn anything. I just want to get on with my life. Those are not my people.
That's exactly it.
And this is it. And this is what we saw, didn't we, Emily, in Malawi, that people, every single person wanted to learn. And when I say that, I mean not just the Malawian side, but even our group of 10.
Yep.
I mean, we could not stop asking questions of our tour guides, whether it was on the bus or whether it was on the mountain or wherever we were. We were sparking up conversations, asking different questions from the bartender guy on Blue Zebra Island, because we wanted to.
He made a mean G&T.
How do you make this gin and tonic? Right, so I got another question then, unless Emily's got some fired up. So one of the other things I'm wondering then about you is like how. Why am I struggling? I'm struggling for words because that's the theme that got laid down. So I'm going to stop that. Is there something about how far you could impact someone to take them? Does that make sense? Like, is there? No, I don't think that's a valid question.
I think what you've just hit there is so important. There, it's that desire to learn.
Yeah, perhaps that's
that desire to learn, and with that, you cannot impact everybody, because for some people, and you've just hit it exactly there, they become complacent with their.
They've got to want it.
Yeah, they have to want it, and when you can hone it and you can see the impact that you can make, their responsibility to be able to take part in that two-way process, because it is a two-way process, and how you can then see that ripple effect of the learning, the development, and how they're taking that further to make a difference for their own communities, for their own sakes. That's important. And yes, in the UK particularly, I think there's almost that ceiling now of people feeling that they are oversaturated. Is there such a thing as being oversaturated? I don't think so. I think actually every opportunity there is to learn, whether it's directly impacting you right now or something you'll use in 20 years' time. We should be taking those opportunities. So you can't always, at this moment, feel that you're impacting the world, because the rest of the world need to be on the same page as you. But for the smaller communities that you're impacting, you might be doing that one person a day, that one community in Malawi.
The ripple effect is huge, though, isn't it?
That is, because you change that personality, you change that thinking mindset, that will, in longer term, have that ripple effect.
I think there's a fact I like that if anyone knows the answer, you know the deal, DM us, write it in the comments. But I think there's a fact that something like in our life, we meet something like 80,000 people, right? Something like that, okay? And it's probably a bit more now because of virtual connections, etc. Or that might be the new figure, I'm not sure. So if you think about impacting one person, and let's say they get to impact even 10% 10% of that 80,000, that extrapolates out and up very, very quickly. And that is a fantastic place.
Yeah, and the way how I think about it is that if I just manage to plant a little seed of thinking differently in one person's head a day, I'm a winner. That's it.
Yeah.
Because that person, that seed is going to grow into a flower, a tree, a bush, or whatever. I don't know what it's going to grow into, but it's going to grow into something, and other people will see that too. So that person then goes out and spreads the magic in the world in a different way, and then the ripple effect of that. So this is one of the main reasons why I became an NLP trainer, is that, I felt that as an NLP master practitioner, I was there and I was helping everybody that I could, the people that wanted my services, the people that resonate with me. And again, I'm one person and I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and that's okay. But I helped a lot of people, but then you realize that not everybody will like you, and you only have a certain amount of time in a day. These are the two things we have very limited of, your energy and your time. And that's true to every single person. Everything else we can create, we can make more of. But we'll never be able to create more time. So then I was like, okay, so I have one-to-one sessions. I can have, if I really push it, 7 or 8 a day. And then I'm going to burn out very, very soon. And when I was doing that.
And you'll forget to invoice everyone if you're dealing with that many people a day.
I actually do, which is quite silly. But anyway, but then I started thinking, so, okay, that's brilliant. And those people have been impacted in a very positive way, brilliant. And then they go out and spread their magic. But is that enough? That's when I decided to become a trainer, because then you are a trainer, you impact all those participants around you. You give them that way of, that it's not even that it's that attitude. Again, going back to the attitude of curiosity towards learning and seeing the world in a different way and trying to experiment and experience other people's maps of the world and learn from it. So then those people will go out in the world and they will have their little circles around them, and those people will have their little circles around them. So that ripple effect then becomes multiplied by as many, people I get to meet, and as many people as they get to meet. So we are talking about thousands or even millions when it becomes bigger. So when I talk about a legacy, I'm not talking about me having a conversation with every single one of these people. I can't. I have to recognize that I'm only one human being. Yeah. What can I do in my lifetime? Well, this is the best way I've found so far. Then the confusion came, and now I'm going to come up with an even better way of doing it. I don't know how yet.
Right. I've got two things
quickly. I've got two. Go, Emily.
So one thing, just to interject, when you're talking about planting the seed, just in case anyone hasn't ever read it, there's a beautiful storybook by Julie Donaldson, who wrote the Gruffalo, called The Oak Tree. It's in her newest book this year. And it's a stunning little book. And I was reading it with the boys last night, actually, about how a seed, an acorn can accidentally sprout. The likelihood of that one seed sprouting, but with all the squirrels and all the animals eating it, but one could sprout just in the ground from one acorn, and how that could have a 1,000-year life cycle, and of all the different things that tree could be. It could be a home, a habitat, a plaything. It's such a beautiful. If you haven't read it, go and read it with your kids, or as an adult, because it does twig that whole, again, that ripple effect of one little idea could be a massive oak tree in 1,000 years' time. And then secondly, comes back down to audience. Obviously, we talk from here as a Yellow Tuxedo as a digital visibility and online visibility, and we talk about growing your audience quite frequently. And I think sometimes there's that element of sitting on a keep it small, keep it niche, keep it just talk to a few people and keep that really tight. But actually, there's that other side of the coin, which I think you do so eloquently. It's like, no, actually, in order to have the biggest impact with the most amount of people, even if it's not my voice, I need to be loud. I need to talk about it. I need to have conversations. I need to network. I need to just talk to people in the most basic of ways to make that audience the biggest it can be, because that's where that legacy, that longer term legacy can be. Now, that brings me back to your ability to, I think Richard Hyron is the king of networking, but you are very much there.
No, he's the James Bond of networking,
James Bond
Emily.
Of networking.
Come on.
Hyronator. But Vanda, you are the queen, in my opinion, of networking. You talk to a lot of people, don't you?
Yes.
I thought you were going to interject there, so he looks at me.
You're like mid-flow, darling. I'm not going to interrupt.
I just feel... Was that always a conscious thing? When you started in your business by yourself and you went, okay, I have... My purpose is now my business, and at some point I need to make money with my business as well to pay the bills. Was networking, was that action of taking yourself to those situations to have intentional conversations part of your strategy, or was that something that's just built over time?
It wasn't. I was terrified of networking.
Were you really?
Seriously. And that's the funny thing is that when people, and this isn't just since I've been a business owner, it's even before that, people always think that I'm very bubbly and I create these relationships so easily, and it comes easy to me.
It looks easy for you. It does from the outside.
God, no, it really isn't, or it didn't used to be. And I was absolutely terrified, if I had to go into a room of people, let alone professionals, just people, I would go in there, do something, and then hide in the toilet for 5 minutes, and then go back and then go out and I don't know, hide somewhere else. I really did not feel comfortable in these situations, despite of what other people may have seen. And there are still situations when I don't feel comfortable, when it's a bigger group, or where I don't feel that I have a purpose of being there, or I don't have a role. And then I had to change my way of thinking about networking. When I started networking, I sort of forced myself into it. Some other business owners who I've met, they told me about networking and how great it was. And I was like, oh, okay, my biggest nightmare. But anyways, I give it a go. And then while I was there, I started to see how it can work for people. I had a completely different idea at the time how it works for businesses than I do now. But I was like, okay, it's working. So somehow I need to see what I can do to make it work for me as well, internally, not just for my business. So then I started changing the focus of what I was doing when I was having conversation with people. So I changed the focus from me and how they might perceive me as a person, or me selling me and selling my business, to, okay, so what is there for me to learn about that person?
Yeah.
I almost pretended that person in front of me was the most amazing person in the whole wide world, the most intriguing person, and I just wanted to know what made them so intriguing for me. I wanted to find out more about you, whoever was on the other side of the call, and ask how would I be able to help you? How can I serve my purpose? And this is when I started realizing that my purpose isn't just to do my services, my one-to-one work, my training, my teaching, my all that. But there is that other purpose, is that if I get to connect people with each other so they get the help they need, it may not be the help I offer, it may be something completely different. But then again, I facilitated that, didn't I? I was there, and just by me being curious about the person, genuinely curious about the person, the business, what they think about their business, what they love about their business. That's my favorite question. It always lines the person up that I talk to, is that I always say, so what is it that you love about your business? What lights you up? What makes you want to do it? Wake up in the morning every day and feel that I really love doing this. And you should see the changes on people's faces.
Write that down, Emily.
Me up.
Yeah.
And then we can have a great conversation. And then it comes naturally, because then it's not about me.
Mm-hmm.
And that just, takes the pressure off, doesn't it? Yeah,
so no, it really does.
Then it becomes easy, because then it's just a friendly chat where we talk about yellow.
Well,
all the time.
We always appreciate that, Vanda. Did you have a question before I go to the final one?
Yeah, no. Wow, we're there already. So, okay, I've got a couple of things. First of all, something you said at the very beginning about smiling at people in the street. It's something I do as well. I try and smile.
Is that what you do?
No. Well, this is what I was kind of coming to this point. So, yeah, I'm very big. Like, I'll chat to the person in the shop, and, we have a few little things we like to say to people to try and help, make them have a happier day, impact their day, whatever, right? But I kind of love the great British thing of that some people I'm smiling at just think I'm a weirdo, right? I love that. That amuses me. In the same way as if I wave to someone when I'm driving. Phil Hoyle will never listen to this, but this came from Phil Hoyle, right? He will never be listening to this. He owns a fab pub in Ringwood called the London Tavern, if anyone's near Ringwood. And he said, I love waving at people when I'm driving around, and this has stuck with me, on the basis that they may go, oh, that's Bob. I've not seen Bob in years. And they get home and go, I saw Bob driving today. Not actually knowing who it was, but just in print, and just those little things make me smile. Okay, this is a bit of a bigger question than we need as we're building up towards the end, but I'm going there anyway. I get this is your purpose. I get that you're very much in the clarity comes after the confusion, or when everything's
love
up
that
in the
word,
air.
though.
I like that as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great way of reframing the confusion, knowing that clarity is coming. However, it doesn't help in the minute by minute
Get
when
to
you're in
the
the middle of the
question,
confusion.
Braithwaite.
My
Oof.
question is, at some point when you were young, you made a choice. You made a decision to start down this route, right? And, you know, it goes all the way back to, I'm looking at your LinkedIn profile here, sometime in the late 90s, early 2000s. You made a decision to go down this route. What made you make that decision to start on this brain path?
The brain path.
That's what I'm calling it now.
As it should be known, the brain path.
Or,
This
yeah.
is how I'm going to call it from now on. Again, fabulous question. I do not know. I literally don't know. I mean, you know, I've always been very interested in how people think and understanding. I started understanding at a very early age that not everybody thought the way I did, but I didn't know what to do with it. But going back to my intuition, I'm gonna tell you. So when we got to the equivalent of GCSEs or A levels in Hungary, then we have this very thick book of colleges and universities and all sort of further education that you can find in Hungary. Yeah. So when you get to year 12 in Hungary, doesn't matter, then you start thinking of, okay, so where am I going to go? What am I going to do? And I didn't actually know what to do. I didn't have a clue. And there was, I think the deputy head of the school was thinking that, okay, so Vanda isn't doing very well at school. We need to get her into university or college or something because, you know, she has to do something. She kind of saying. She didn't know that I didn't do well because I had 3 jobs on the side, a voluntary and 2 other jobs from the age of 13. But never mind, let's just put it aside. I didn't do well because I wasn't interested. I was so much more interested in everything else that I was doing, particularly my voluntary work where I was a team leader for the Children's Railways Children. You know, it's like Scouts here, but not. It's slightly different, but it's the same sort of community things. I absolutely loved it. She didn't know that, but she thought, oh, she's not doing well, so let's just push her into somewhere. I work at a university, so I can get her a way in. So this sort of forced me to go into that university that was about working with children with additional needs, but it was more on the cognitive side, so not the physical side of neurological conditions. So I was like, okay, I'm going to put that on my application form. I don't really want to go there, but let's just put it there. And then I found this thing. I literally opened the book and there was this place, the Pato Institute, International Pato Institute, working with kids with physical disabilities, teaching them. You're going to get 2 degrees at the end. Great, I'm going to go there. So I put that for 2nd and 3rd because there were 2 different courses I was interested in that uni. But I didn't have a clue what it was. I really didn't. I just felt that, yeah, this is something for me.
Amazing.
And then, you know, your A levels are your GCSE in Hungary, or used to be in that sort of system. So we had to do quite well at university to be able to get in there. And there were 2 main subjects, biology and Hungarian literature and grammar, that you needed to do really well at to be able to get into that university. Now, I, who didn't do well at school, because I wanted to get into that school, I literally did, I think one of them was 100%, the other one was a 99% exam. I loved it. I was interested. Of course I did well. And then I went into this uni and we had the first day of registration. When I went into uni, we sat there as a group, we were filling in forms and all that. And then they told us that, very good, now that you finished the papers and you signed the paper, this afternoon you are going into practical.
Wow.
Like, excuse me, what is practical? Do we need to do anything practical? I literally didn't know anything about that. So we had to go over to the other building, rushed over because we didn't have much time. And then I went into this first school. It was a secondary, it was actually a primary school class. And I went into there with all those kids with cerebral palsy. And we were there and I was 20 minutes in and I had this feeling of, yes, I arrived home. This is it.
Wow.
I love it. I really didn't have a clue. It wasn't a conscious decision. I do trust my subconscious. I do trust my intuition. That comes back all the way to the greatest gift that my parents ever have given me, which was a Seva Method mind control, self-mind control course as a child. So they taught me how to be in tune with my intuition and how to use my brain to its fullest and my mind, not consciously at all. But it took me there. And then my next job, when I went to Birmingham, that was exactly the same. I didn't quite know much about it, only knew that they worked with adults. And I knew I wanted to work with adults with these conditions. And I went in there, yes, this is it. I'm home. It's just that. And NLP was exactly the same.
I love that.
Trusting your subconscious and your intuition.
Trust your gut. Well, thank you,
Vanda. That was amazing.
There is just one last question we're going to ask, because we always bookend these interviews, and that is, and I don't know if I think I know the answer before I even ask
Well,
it.
I think she's kind of just
sorry,
I believe Vanda may have just answered it. I can't believe I said she.
If you were to go back in time in a machine and to go back to your younger self, put an arm around yourself and say, here's one piece of advice for the future, what would that advice be to yourself?
I think I answered it. Yes,
absolutely.
I'm gonna. Can I just twist that question a little bit and say, because I think I had everything I needed at the time, and if I could turn to parents of children of that age that you are talking about, I would tell all those parents to teach their children about their minds, to help them understand that they can do whatever they want to do with their mind.
Yeah.
Sort out their things if they need to, so they won't pass down the historical generational trauma to their children. But it's about teaching the child that they can, giving them that attitude at a very, very early stage. And for me, my parents gave me this gift. And they also gave me, and all three of us, it's my sister, my twin brother and myself, all three of us this gift of that course, the Seva Method course, which taught us how to use our mind, how to use our brain. And I have been using it for 30 years, not consciously all the time. And, I had my highs, I had my lows as well, when I used it more or when I used it less, absolutely. But I know that it gave me such a fall in life to understand that I can do whatever I want with my mind. It's up to me what I do.
Absolutely.
I love it. Thank you so
Vanda,
much.
thank you so much for giving us your
the problem
time
I've got.
today.
This is one of those, Emily, that could I know I've interrupted, that could easily be 3 hours long. But we're not Joe Rogan or Stephen Bartlett.
We discussed off camera about long podcasts for us.
We did.
Actually, no. But thank you, Vanda. You've just blown my mind. And again, that whole trust your gut thing is so essential. And I don't think enough of us have the confidence sometimes to trust what's inside us. We already know the answers. Thank you very much for talking to us today. Thank you all for listening today, and we will see you next time on the Digital Circus Live.
Thanks, Vanda.
Bye.
Thank you for having me.